Times are crazy. What the fuck can any of us believe anymore? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I feel so much cognitive dissonance from every angle. It used to be 10 years ago cool to say fuck the government, to be a little countercultural. It was trendy, and when you're a young man and you have that angst inside of you, it's an appropriate outlet, I guess. But in the last few years, my world has just been rocked. And I cannot pinpoint to you the exact moment that it happened. There have been a plethora of significant and traumatic events that have shaped me, for better or for worse. We're all humans. We all have these experiences. I'm just trying to share some of mine because I feel so alone, but I know I'm not. I know many of you also share this insane inability to believe or trust our institutions anymore. It might be fun to daydream about a time when integrity was something that existed in our institutions. It might be fun to say, let's make America great again, but has America ever really been great? Have any of our civilizations really ever been that great? There is so much information being withheld from us. So much that we just know is just black, that we just don't have access to. But then when you begin looking at what has been declassified and the egregious shit that our government has done, just the Tuskegee syphilis experiments, go look that one up. I don't want to make it a habit of focusing on one conspiracy because we all have our own moments that one could call a call to action. Maybe a pop trend term we can use is that moment you're presented with the blue pill or the red pill. That moment that cognitive dissonance hits you like a fucking wave and your world comes crumbling down and you don't know what to do. You don't know who to believe. The hill I would die on, if I had to pick one hill, one conspiracy to see through to the end, it's one of the most poignant examples today would be the prohibition of cannabis. Why? Why did our government do that? Reefer madness was ingrained in me for so many years. That's why I'm so passionate about this cause. Because I was really straight edged, plugged into the matrix, believed the bullshit. And look around. We have this, I cannot say comedically ironic, because to be able to smile at the fact that pot stores are now considered essential in some states, so soccer moms and CEOs can partake in an absolutely beautiful plant, but in a neighboring state there are men and women in jail right now, sitting in jail simply for the possession, maybe with the intent to sell. But don't even get me started on economic opportunities. So I think my call to action hit me about 26, 27. Marijuana had just become legalized in our state of Washington. And I grew up with addicts in my family of various kinds, and I'm not disparaging anyone. Their demons and the reasons that they're drowning them are valid. And I think a lot of us have demons that we're drowning with some form of distraction. Things to take us outside of our minds, outside of our bodies, outside of our communities, outside of the reality of what's going on. So at a time when I had a moment in my life to exhale, to breathe, I had a decent job, corporate job. I was really lucky to be funneled through a college education that afforded me that opportunity. And I decided, okay, if this plant is legal and I'm really stressed out, maybe I should try it. And if you don't want to try marijuana, that's fine. But if you're someone who drinks, you cannot criticize those who partake in a very natural plant medicine. I had the perception of stability, which gave my demons opportunity to push me down this road I needed to go. My hero's journey was not cannabis. My hero's journey was healing myself. And I'm not saying cannabis is healing myself. It was just part of the process, part of the journey. But as I look around, I see so many people who are in need of healing journeys. They need to embark on their own hero's journey. In messaging a good friend of mine and displaying some of my vulnerability around not having motivation right now to do almost anything, everything just seems like bullshit. And I'm not trying to take a nihilistic view of life. I know there's beauty out there. I just can't see it. I'm struggling to feel it. I'm struggling to connect with it. I feel so overwhelmed with the darkness of this spiritual war that goes so much deeper than simple legislation around a plant. When you can't even define who your enemy is, it can feel like you're fighting an impossible war. And this is the eternal paradox of existence, is that the enemy is always yourself, and how you handle and react to the situations and circumstances that you've been put in. You can choose to let those experiences shape who you are, or you can try to fight past them. They're really hard to fight past because they can literally ingrain themselves in your body. Trauma is a fascinating thing. And that's how I feel partially we're being controlled and why we're so easy to be controlled. Because in so many ways, we are being traumatized by our media, by our institutions, by our. So I'm not a communist, but I'm not a capitalist. I just think our fucking system is broken. There has to be a better way. We've lost our way as humans. And what better opportunity than right now, as we're supposed to be social distancing, to try to unite in some form, in some capacity. We need to come together. Easier said than done, I know. Don't watch the news. Do not get invested in our media. Talk to your neighbors. Reconnect with lost friends. Apologize to family members. Bury the hatchet. Begin to cultivate your community. Cultivate your self-health. Going back to the conversation I referenced earlier with a friend, he uses this analogy. When you're on an airplane and the oxygen masks come down for an emergency purpose, they always instruct you to put your own oxygen mask on first before you help others. Through the darkness and the bullshit that we're being fed, through these crazy times, if you can find a call to action that parallels your own healing journey, you can transform your struggle, your healing path into a light for your community, because you're not alone. There are others struggling, maybe not exactly like you, maybe somewhat similarly to you. You can find compassion and grace. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what to do or what to say. I just know things are not as you're being told, as we're being told. There are deeper, darker things going on. Push past the bullshit and reconnect with yourself and with your community. Thank you for listening.